After coaching hundreds of clients and training for nearly a decade now, I noticed there's usually one big thing that newer lifters tend to get wrong, and long term it generally leads to them falling off their fitness goals and never eventually getting to their dream physique. So I wanted to make a video explaining exactly what your first year of training should look like, not only to give yourself an action plan on what to focus on, but also get you in the right mindset to not get in your own way. And today we're also going to be hitting an upper body workout, so I'm not just sitting around yapping the whole time, so let's get into it. One big thing that new lifters tend to get wrong in their first year of training is being too results driven. And it's not their fault because it makes sense to be results driven or else you feel like you're wasting your time at the gym. But people tend to greatly underestimate the time it will take to get to their dream physique due to things like social media showing the top 1% of genetics and of course, fake naturals. Getting fit, working out is like anything else, a skill. You don't just play guitar for a few months and then now you're an expert. No, it takes years to hone down your craft. In fact, most natural fitness influencers that you see have years under their belt. And that is why I recommend going into your first year with the intention to do one thing, and that is to learn. Now, truthfully, there's so much information to learn out there when it comes to fitness, so I recommend categorizing fitness advice into two categories: general knowledge and individual specific knowledge. Now, general knowledge is more fundamental and can be applied to pretty much everyone. This is the knowledge you should be focusing on learning first. For example, a lat pull down trains your back, regardless of whoever you are. And you need to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose body fat, regardless of, once again, whoever you are and what your situation is. Now, there's 4 different buckets of general knowledge that you should be aware of. Number 1 is exercise selection, so which exercise trains what. Second is exercise form, so how to properly execute a movement for, of course, maximum hypertrophy, but also to avoid injuries. Number 3 is more recovery-based knowledge, so waiting 48 hours before training a muscle group again, getting enough sleep, avoiding training a muscle if it's still sore, as well as avoiding training an injured muscle group. And the 4th and final bucket is what I call number recommendations. So to make it easy, let me read them out. 1, train every muscle group twice per week to maximize hypertrophy. Number 2, 6 to 12 reps per set for most exercises if the goal is muscle growth. 3, 8 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. Number 4, have a 2 to 4 second tempo on every single exercise minus the regular deadlift. Number 5, 2 to 3 minutes of rest for most exercises. And moving on to more of the dieting stuff, number 7 is consume 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Number 9 is don't lose over 1% of your body weight per week if you're dieting. And number 10 is don't gain over 1% of your body weight per month if you're bulking. With that in mind, let's hit the set and I'll get into the more individual specific knowledge. All right, now individual specific knowledge is more, well, individualized and only becomes relevant to know if you run into a problem that general knowledge doesn't solve. For example, you may know that a lat pull down trains your lats, but what if you feel it more in your biceps or forearms when you're doing a lat pull down instead of your lats? Well, in that case, you should seek out the reason to why that's happening, and I would consider that more individual specific knowledge. Because you see, another person might not even have that issue, so it's not even relevant for them. Now, how do we do this though? Well, the most accessible way is to simply look on the internet and try to fact check whatever you're looking at from multiple different resources. So instead of listening to purely just my advice, maybe you should be fact checking it with Mike Israel's videos, or Jeff Nipper's videos, or Jeremy Ethier's, right? Or if you can read research papers, well, you should be doing that then. Now, of course, this requires time, but I promise you, developing this skill and habit will allow you to much more efficiently grow your individual knowledge base. Now, admittedly, there's also a lot of bad information out there, so that is why it's extremely important to validate whatever you're looking up from multiple different resources. And over time, you'll be able to kind of get this like BS detector so that you can pick apart good advice from all the BS advice out there. Ooh, good start. Now, what if you don't have the time to do all that? Well, the easiest way to get information as efficiently as possible is to hire a coach. Either by joining a trusted individual's community or program so you can actually ask them questions directly, or if you know someone IRL that has a lot of experience, they can be a really good resource and be super helpful as well. Now keep in mind, it's still a really good idea to validate that person's info from other resources as well, because ultimately no coach, including myself, knows everything. And the field of exercise science as a whole is relatively nascent. If there's anyone that's saying this is the end-all be-all fitness advice, then you should probably run from the hills. Okay, so we outlined how to learn, but what should your first year of training actually look like? Well, it all starts with you being consistent with your fitness routine. You can learn a whole lot of general knowledge just from watching videos, but at a certain point, you need to put in your reps too, literally. Think of every single workout you do, every single exercise, every single rep as you gaining XP in an RPG video game. Remember how many hours it took you to grind all the way to level 100 in Skyrim. You should be having that mindset when you're working out. You're not gonna learn everything overnight, but it's accumulation of all those workouts every single day for years that really lead to something great. And unfortunately, especially when it comes to exercise form, there's no way to shortcut this. A lot of people try to skip perfecting their form on exercise only to get injured or get annoyed when they don't see the results that they want. Every day is an opportunity to learn something new. In fact, that is still the mindset I have today, 9 years later. What routine should you be doing, you may ask? Well, ultimately it depends on how many days per week you can actually dedicate to working out. I made a pretty good video on this. But if you're learning on your own, I actually recommend you do some sort of Arnold split or PPL in your first few months. The reason being is these routines are generally easier to create without running into any recovery issues like training 2 muscle groups back to back, that sort of thing. Ultimately making it easier to know which exercise trains which muscle group and giving you an ample amount of time to recover from soreness. Now in your first few months, your goal should be solely to focus on improving your workout form. This means be conservative with the weight you use and your overall progression. However, ironically, naturally, you're gonna find that you will naturally get stronger as you become more efficient with doing these movements. And then at home, work on incorporating more vegetables, whole food carbs like potatoes, whole grains in your diet, and of course, lean sources of protein. And then outside your workout, in your first few months, try to have the goal to spend at least 15 minutes per day absorbing some sort of fitness and nutrition knowledge out there in whichever area that interests you. It could be exercise selection on a certain muscle group, or it could be healthy air fryer recipes, high protein, all that. After your first few months, you're gonna pass your newbie gains phase, so you're gonna have to work harder to continue to progress and see results. However, you should also be way more knowledgeable about general fitness advice and have pretty good exercise form. In other words, you're overall a better lifter now. It's actually crazy to think how close to an RPG game this sounds like. At this point, you also should have built the habit of working out consistently and improving your diet, so you should start feeling like you're missing the gym if you skip a workout, or you should feel kind of gross if you choose a pizza over Chipotle naturally. In other words, the seed of treating fitness as an overall lifestyle has been planted. Now you just have to cultivate it. to combat the slower pace of gains, your main priority for the rest of the year is intensity. If you have the fundamentals down, the biggest variable in determining what progress you see is probably going to be your training intensity. Here's where learning how to estimate RIR and training to technique failure becomes extremely important. Now, technique failure is simply doing as many reps as you can while still preserving good form. This means keep on going until you can't do another rep with good form. Now, big tip when training to failure for the first time on an exercise, go to failure or what you think is failure, and then take a deep breath and then go for one extra rep. You see, a lot of people tend to underestimate how many reps they can actually do. Now, in the same vein of training intensity, you should also be aiming to progressive overload week after week. And that is simply making an exercise harder than it was before, either by adding weights, but if that's not possible, you can add reps. And if that's not possible, you can slow the tempo down on the eccentric portion of an exercise. It might also be a good idea to test out a new routine that allows you to train at least every single muscle group twice per week. This means if you only have 4 training days in a week, maybe doing an upper-lower split might fit better. Now, I made a really good video talking about the best upper body workout as well as the best lower body workout for beginners, so definitely check that out. And lastly, remember to take photos of your progress along the way, and before you know it, you'd hit the 1-year mark. Made some gains physically, but more importantly, fitness at this point should be a stable part of your lifestyle. So congratulations, you have many more years ahead of you, and it all started because of today. Good luck on your fitness journey.